guys, today we're going to take a look at adding Apple CarPlay to my B8 Audi S4. Alright guys, so here it is. This is the module. Okay, we've just ordered this. Basically it's specific for the car. So obviously once you order it you get the module, video cables. Okay, so basically what this does is the MMI sends video signal basically straight from this unit to the screen. We have two looms here, so that will go, it'll basically now tie in and send the video cable through the module and then out to the screen. Okay, this is the USB port, so it's like sort of LVDS on one side and then USB on the other. We're just going to run into the glove box for now, just for testing purposes, and then maybe later on we can look at sort of getting something set up in here or even in the center console. Alright, so we have one part of the wiring loom. Basically this plugs into the module. Now we've got an audio output here, so that's going to be where the sound goes through. And we have some other wires. So rear camera, this car has factory camera, 12 volt rear, so we're not going to use any of those, and we're not going to use any of the RCAs either. So that's one part of the power harness. And here is the second part. So basically plugs into the module at one end, and then it plugs into itself, and then we've got some wiring here. So key in we're not going to use, accessories we're not going to use, and there's a blue wire here. So in the instructions this has to go to a wire on the quad lock connector and behind here, so we'll look at that. And also this goes to the CAN gateway. We can look at where and how that plugs in. And the last thing, this is the audio piggyback harness. So behind here there is AUX plug, or yeah, it's an AUX plug within the quad lock connector, and this is basically a T harness. So it will still plug in as normal, but it will give out the auxiliary that you need. Now, if you have this port in the car like I do, AMI, Audi Music Interface, and without having something plugged into it like this, you won't get AUX on the screen. So you'll need to order basically just something like that, and it just has an AUX plug on the end, and not use it, just tuck it away, but it just needs to be plugged in. Very important tools are these keys, so that's what remove the radio, and an 8mm socket, and then obviously wire and tape and wire strippers. Alright, let's get started. Alright guys, first thing we'll be doing is removing the glove box. So there's a little panel here. This just sits there like that. So basically you can even use your key, but you just need a little plastic removal tool like this. Okay, and then you can just wedge it in, and we've got 1, 2, 3 clips that pops out, and that will expose an 8mm bolt. There's 3 more along the top. And there'll be 2 more underneath. Now, you may have to remove this CD changer and get another bolt behind there, but we've already done that. Then it will just pull out, and you'll need to unplug any plugs that are on the glove box. Alright guys, once the glove box is out, we can remove the main control unit. So there's 2 little slots these keys will slide into, and then you can just basically pull. There'll be a little plug here and here. These are the main plugs behind the radio, so that's the GPS antenna we're not going to worry about. Okay, this is a fiber optic cable, so we're not going to worry about that. This is the main stuff we want. Now this is the quad lock connector that we were looking at before, well, we were talking about before, and this is the video cable. So if we remember, one of those cables we looked at before was grey. So obviously that's going to go to the module, So we're going to mount the module above the glove box. This will go in its place. So we're going to run that to the module as well, and there will be an in and an output at the module. Okay, that's one part done. Second part is, this is pin number 10 on the quad lock. So I hope you can see that. This green wire here, that's pin number 10. Okay, and so they are numbered, you can see. So pin number 10 you connect a wire to, which we've already done. So we connect that wire, solder it up, and then you can run it to the glove box, which we've done, and that will connect to the blue wire that was coming out of this plug and play harness from the module. So that's easy. On the back of the quad lock there's that green plug, as we can see. So we just pull that out, pop the new one in its place. Now it doesn't really sort of sit in there perfectly, so it sort of just bangs around a little bit. It won't go too far. So when you plug the quad lock connector back into the unit like that, just make sure you push on that to make sure it's in all the way, and it will hold in place. And then from here, as you see, it doesn't quite plug in, so it's not made to fit that way. You'll have to remove the black connector from the green connector and put that away, and this will plug directly in there. Now that's the way it goes there. So there's a little arrow here, and that arrow corresponds with the line on this plug, so you can just pop that in. There we go. That will plug in. Maybe put a bit of tape around that, stop it from going anywhere. Okay, so we can get that away, tuck that down underneath, and run the AUX to the glove box. Now that is pretty much the head unit side of things done, so we can pretty much put this back together. So these are the cables that we've run from the MMI. These are the two video cables. Okay, that AUX cable, that blue cable, which I showed you where that gets connected to, and that's it. So on the module side of things, so the pink is what we connected into the MMI. So it will go out of the MMI in to the module, and then LCD out, so out of the module into the plug and play, into the plug that we plugged in behind, so that's obviously into the screen. Okay, we can go ahead and plug in our main harness. We'll plug in our audio input, or output rather. Okay, we will put a bit of tape over all of these plugs as well. And then we will get our blue wire. This is basically one of the only wiring connections you need to do. Other than that, it's basically plug and play. Alright, so we'll solder that up. Alright, now for the key and gateway plug, guys. So basically, just coming out here, this is where we've removed the glove box from. So if we're just going to zoom in, that red plug right there is the one that we want. That's the key and gateway. So we will unplug that, and then basically this is just a T harness. Little disclaimer before you unplug this: if you have not got a fault code reader or VAGCOM or anything like that, you'll have to disconnect the battery first. Okay, otherwise you're going to get a bunch of fault codes. I've got the computer, so I can easily just log in, clear all the codes. Alright, so that plugs in to that, like so. And this will now go in its place, like so. Okay. And then we can look at neatening up some of these looms. So that is pretty much the job done. Very easy, pretty much plug and play. We've just bundled up some of our wiring here. We've got a little bit of wiring left here. And then basically that's just going to mount on top of the glove box like that, up here, and that's it. There's one more thing that we run that we didn't look at, which is the microphone. Now, put the microphone in this panel with the factory microphone. but you guys can obviously mount that wherever you want. Everyone has different preferences on where they like their microphone mounted. I just like it neat out of the way, so we put it in there. There's obviously 2 little holes there for it to go. So there's a little cutout on the top of the glove box here. That USB will just fit perfectly right in there. So if you want to use wireless CarPlay, you can use wireless, but for module updates and for plugged in CarPlay, obviously USB. Alright, so that, just put most of the length in there. Tape up a little bit of it. Alright guys, the system is activated by pressing the nav button on the main interface. So when you press it once more, that will switch over to the Apple CarPlay screen. And so basically when you press that nav button, it will switch over, and then so you've got USB, CarPlay, Android Auto, and then setup. So you can go through some settings here. There's a bunch of things you can look at and play with. We've gone through most things, like for smartphone, Android Auto, CarPlay, you can turn them on, wireless CarPlay, wireless Android Auto. There's a whole bunch of other things that you can look at and play with. And then basically just turn the phone on, plug it in, and then boom, CarPlay. Now it will ask you on the phone for wireless CarPlay. Then you just say yes, so that when you jump into the car the next day you don't need to plug it in. And just using the genuine controls in the car, everything works. Now, if you remember at the start of the video we were talking about audio. So that's the radio. So what we need to do is go media, source, and then make sure you're on external input. Now if this is not illuminated, that means you've got the AMI in the glove box, and you'll need to get an AUX plug, plug it in, and then select this. So you don't need anything actually plugged into it, it just needs to be actually plugged into the thing in the glove box. Alright, now let's go nav. It's going to switch us back over to CarPlay. Okay, and we can go Spotify. Alright, we can tap that. And then we've got, obviously, sound that way. The return button works as well. Steering wheel control buttons all work. Maps and all that stuff, obviously that all works. And yeah, that is pretty much it. Alright guys, that is pretty much it for the integrated Apple CarPlay system, so thanks so much for watching. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. If there's anything else you want to see, drop a comment below. Yeah, catch you in the next one.